What's up, guys? It's Josh back with another video from Keep It Techie, where I help you learn Linux, build your home lab, and level up your tech skills one project at a time. And today we're getting into Podman, the container tool that does everything Docker does, but better in a few key ways. And we'll be using Rocky Linux 9, and I'll show you guys how to run rootless containers, build your own images, use systemd with Quitlet, set up pods to group containers, and even use Docker Compose style setups with Podman. Now, before we get started, take a second to like the video, especially if you're trying to get deeper into Linux and you're working on your home lab and you really enjoy the content. So let's jump into it. All right, so before we get started, I just wanted to quickly take you guys to podman.io. This is where you can get all the information on Podman. You can check out the documentation. They have great walkthroughs on how to actually use it. I definitely recommend you guys check it out. They got tutorials, how to set up the networks, running containers. And like I said, it's similar to Docker, but it's slightly different. So you guys may want to check out the documentation that's specific to Podman. And I just wanted to quickly bring it up so you guys can know where to get information about Podman. So let's hop over to my virtual machine and get started. All right, so I'm connected to my Rocky 9 virtual machine. And the first thing we need to do is get Podman and its tools installed on the system. Now, Rocky 9 actually comes with Podman installed by default, but I'll run a command just so you guys see how to install it if you need to. If you got that latest release of Rocky 9, and I'm not sure if it's in 10, it should be in 10 if it's in 9. But if you got the latest release of 9, I'm sure it's in there. So I'm gonna just run it just so you guys can see that it is in there. DNF install -y Podman. Type in our password for it, and boom, as you can see, is already installed. So it should be installed on your system by default. And if it's not, it is in Rocky repos. So it's super quick to install. You don't have to enable any other repos, so you're good to go. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you guys is how to run like Docker Compose type files in Podman. And basically you need Podman Compose. Now, Podman Compose is basically a wrapper for Podman to run files similar to Docker Compose. That's essentially what it is. So it's a Python wrapper. So let me show you guys how to install that. So let's go sudo dnf install and then -y. And then what we need to install is Python 3 and then -pip. So we're going to install this using pip. So let's get that installed right fast. And then what we're going to do is install it specifically for our users, so we don't need sudo. So let's go pip3 install, and we go -user. So that's for us, our account, our user account. And then Podman and then -compose. And that will install the wrapper for Podman. So we'll go through and install it. It's super simple, super quick, and now we get to go. As you can see, it says successfully installed the Podman Compose using pip. So you can install it using pip. That's the easiest way. Now, one thing you can do, you can check your versions, which we've seen our version of Podman that's already installed, and you can see the version that's there. But if you want to run the commands to check the version, you might as well just do the Podman Compose. So you can go Podman -compose, and then you can go --version, press enter, and that'll bring up the version for Podman and Podman Compose. So you could look at both versions there. Now, Podman Compose is actually not done. I forgot. One thing we have to do, we have to add it to our bash RC in order for it to work properly. So we have to type echo and then export, and then I'm gonna hit caps lock. Path equals path. And I'm trying to do this off the top of my head. Oh, $. About to mess this up. $, path, and then what is it? Colon, home, and then /local, /bin, and then let's close those single quotes, and then let's put our double right arrows, and then we can go tilde, /, and then bash RC. So we're gonna write that to our bash RC, and that is the location for Podman. And now let's source our, press enter. That'll refresh everything for us, and we should be good to go. And I'm sure it's gonna work because we were able to run the Podman Compose -version. So that worked. So that lets me know I can actually run it. I just wanted to make sure and then also show you guys how to do it in case it doesn't run for you guys. What's up, y'all? If you've been watching my channel for a minute, you already know I stay talking about Linux. And if you're looking for a solid, reliable enterprise Linux distro, let me put you on to Rocky Linux. This is the go-to replacement for CentOS, and it's built for the community, by the community. It's got everything you need for a stable and secure Linux experience, whether you're running servers, home labs, or enterprise workloads. And the best part, it's backed by CIQ, making sure it stays rock solid for the long haul. So if you're tired of these companies pulling a plug on your favorite distros, Rocky Linux is where you need to be. And I've covered Rocky Linux before, and trust me, it's worth checking out. So head over to rockylinux.org to learn more and get started. Keep it techie. Peace. Now, let's go down and clear the screen, and let me show you guys how to test out Podman. Just make sure it's working. Type Podman, and what I'm gonna do is pull an image down. So let's pull Nginx. And one thing about Podman, running it on here, it'll ask you what location you want to pull it from. They got a couple different repositories you can get it from. I recommend you just pulling it from the docker.io repository. Red Hat has a repository. You can get them from there. I don't know how their licensing works with their containers and all that stuff. So just pull it from Docker. That's what I recommend. Do a little research and find out if you can, but I recommend just pulling it from Docker, at least for right now, until you figure out what's the deal with it. So let's go down and pull that image down. Let's wait for it to finish. All right, cool. So we got our image pulled down, and let's go down and run our first container, and we'll just go Podman. And like I said, this is just like Docker. So Podman run -d for detached, and then --name, and we can name it whatever we want. So web tests, and then -p for our ports, so we can set up our ports. So I'm gonna go 80, and then we're gonna put port 80 as the main port, and then the internal port, and then Nginx. That's the image that we're gonna use. So go down, press enter, and that'll create our container. And so let me go down, open up another terminal. Just go down, open up another window right fast, and let's just run our IPA just to see what the IP address is. Okay, so it's 104. Now, before we switch over to the browser, let's open up the firewall ports. I want to show you guys that right fast. And so you had to run sudo firewall -cmd, and then what we want to do is add some ports. So add -port, and then equals 80, and then / the TCP port, and then --permanence, and press enter, and type in our sudo password. Boom. And I messed up the command, missing that L. Put that L in there and press enter. There we go. So that's good. And then we need to reload our firewall, and it's -reload. Press enter. That'll reload our firewall. And so now let's switch over to our browser right fast. Now that we know our IP address, we can open up a new tab, and let's go down and type in the IP address of our server. So it was 104, and then ports 80, and press enter. Boom, there we go. So we got Nginx working in a container using Podman. So that's super simple, right? Now let me switch back over and show you guys how to get rid of it if you need to. Let's go back to our virtual machine, and you can stop the container just like Docker. So Podman stop, and then the name of it, you want to make sure you know the name of it. So web tests, and stop web tests. You just use the name, good to go, and that will stop it. And it takes a little time sometimes, and then you can also remove it. So just want you guys to know how to remove it as well. And we're gonna create a couple of them just to show you guys multiple ways to create them. Now I want to show you guys how to create your own image. Let's say you want to create something of your own, a container of your own, and let's say you want to put it out there. Let's say it's something you built specific for other people to use, or it could be an application you're testing out for a company or something in your organization, whatever. But let's make a directory, a project directory. Let's just name it my Rocky. Boom. And then let's cd to my Rocky. And let's go down and create a index.html file. So let's go echo, and then we're gonna just some text in here. So welcome to Rocky from Podman. Boom. And let's write that to our index.html file in that location. Boom. So we're good to go. Let's ls just to make sure it's there. Yeah, index.html, good to go. Now, another thing we need to do within this directory is create a container file. So we can type nano and then container file and press enter. And what you have to do is lay out what you want the container to be. Now, I already wrote one out for this purpose just to show you guys, and I'll just break it all down for you just so you guys can see what it's actually going to do. So from Rocky 9, it's going to run DNF. It's going to basically run updates. It's also going to, so this is the image that's going to pull down. And then it's going to do a systemctl enable for Nginx, or that's Apache. It's going to run Apache, and then it's going to move this index.html to the HTML directory as a default, and then it's going to expose it to port 80. And then depending on how I run this container, which I can specify the port, the outside port to be 8080, it'll run exactly how I want it to run. And then command svn and initialize. So let's go on and save this right fast and show you guys how to build it. So all you had to do is type podman, and I'm sure if you've used Docker before, you've done this before. Build-t, and let's just name it my Rocky web server, and then space, period, and press enter, and this will build out our container for us, or our image, sorry. And this image will be stored locally. This is a local image. It's not put out there, obviously, on the web anywhere. This is a local image that we're creating for us, and it's customized. And we named it what we wanted to name it. So it's my Rocky web server. Boom, we are done. So it created the latest image for us, localhost. It created the tag for latest, and it went through each one of the steps that we laid out in our container file. And so as simple as that, that's how you do it. Now let's go down and run our image. We can just type podman run -d for detached, and then we can type dash name. We can name it whatever we want. So let's go Rocky web server, and then let's go -p for the port, and then let's use 8080, and then localhost, and then / my Rocky web server. There we go. So that's our image, and which we could have copied it up here just to make sure we don't make any mistakes, but let's go down there and just run it. I just typed it in right fast. So let's go down and run it. So we got it running, and let's check out the site right fast. So switch back over to our browser, and should be running on the same port and everything. So welcome to Rocky from Podman. That's what we wrote in that index.html file. So that's a custom container that we just created. Super cool. Now let me show you guys how to clean this all up right fast. So let's switch back over to our virtual machine and run a couple commands, and let's go down and close this one. We don't need that one no more. It's distracting, but Podman, obviously stop, and Rocky web server, boom, and we can remove it, and boom, good to go. Now this is where Podman shines, using Quitlet to auto-generate systemd services. This is one of the dopest parts to me. So let me pull down a specific image right fast. Let's pull down Nextcloud. So let's type podman pull Docker, and then .io / library. I already know it, and then Nextcloud, and press enter, and that should find it, and we'll download Nextcloud to our system. So we'll have that image on our virtual machine to use. Right, so we're done. We got our image. Let me actually cd out of this directory. Now let's go down and create our Quitlet file. And what I'm gonna do is create a systemd directory within my home directory under config. And let me show you guys what I'm talking about. And because I'm gonna set this up as rootless, so for my user to actually run, it'll run via my user account, Josh. So make -p, and then we're gonna use the tilde for our home directory / .config directory, and then we want to create a containers directory, and then / a systemd directory. Now I'll actually show you guys how to do a root setup as well, like not a root setup, but one for the system, like a systemd, actual systemd that runs on the system. I'm just showing you this way so you guys can check out a different way of actually setting one up. So let's go down and create that directory, those two directories. And now let's create a file under that directory. So let's type in tilde and then /config and then our containers directory and then systemd. And what we want to do is create a Nextcloud container and press enter. And I already have some of this written out. So I'm gonna just copy it right fast and paste it in there. And basically what we're doing is we're basically giving it the information it needs to set up the container. So the image, the published ports, then down here wanted by default.target. And let's go down and save this and exit out. So we got that. And let's reload and start our service right fast. So let's go systemctl, and we're gonna use it as user, for me as Josh as the user. And we're gonna use the daemon-re-exec and press enter. And then we're gonna use the reload, boom. And then we're going to use the start after that. And this will start the service for us. And this will start Nextcloud for us. Center, and boom, good to go. And it may take a couple seconds, but we should be able to see our Nextcloud instance in a couple seconds, or container in a couple seconds. Let me switch over to our web browser again, and I'm gonna reload it, and boom, there we go. So there is Nextcloud. And then you can go through and set it up. I'm not gonna set it up. I just wanted to show you guys that, boom, it's set up and we're good to go. We can set up our Nextcloud server, just like that. Now, one thing about it, when you set it up this way, it'll only work when the account is logged in, like the Josh account, if it's logged in. So it's all depending on how you set it up, you know what I'm saying? So you can actually enable it like you would if it's a normal systemd server, but it's a user service. So you can enable it, and it looks like it won't allow us to enable it. So that's weird. Fail to enable units. It's transient or generated. Okay, I haven't ran into that issue, and that didn't happen the other day when I tried it. I wonder what I did differently. Oh, I think I remember what it is. You have to type this in differently from the way you typically set up a service. So you gotta type now, and then we have to put, instead of service, container. So that container, and boom. Okay, so that's not right. I wonder what I was doing. I wonder what I did differently. This might be something I did. So login CTL, enable -linger. I remember doing something like this as well, just testing it out. So when I log in, it'll start that service. That should work. This ensures your systemd session starts at boot, so the service can start too. So that should work. That should work for you. And I remember looking this up when I was trying to get this together in the video. Quitlet creates transient systemd units. And so we don't use systemctl enable the usual way. Instead, we enable linger for the user so the container can auto start after a reboot. And it just works that way. All right, so we good to go. Let's go down and stop this right fast. Let me go back to our systemctl, start that service, and let's stop it. So that's how we got to do it. Stop it, press enter, that'll stop that service. Now let's go back to our nano that we used to create that, and let's go back up here to the front and put remove. So let's remove that file, and then let's go systemctl --user, and then daemon reload, and that will clean up our system for us. So we don't have that service running on the system anymore. Now, let me show you guys how to generate a systemd service. So let's create a podman right fast, and I just written out one. So this is podman run -d. The name of it is nc alt for Nextcloud alternates, and for 80, it's going to use that Nextcloud image. So let's go and press enter. It's going to create another one. Boom, good to go. Now, let me show you guys how to generate one. So it's a different command. Let's type podman generate. Now, this command is actually deprecated. They're eventually going to get rid of it. I just want to at least show you guys this before they get rid of it. It still works. So systemd and then -name, and actually dash that name. And then let's go nc-alt or whatever you want to name it, and then -f, and this will export out a service file for us. And you can move this under your etc systemd and then system. You can move that under there and create a system, or you can put it back under that config and you can create it under there and create a service. But let me just show you a little bit more how detailed it is. So it's under my home directory on my ls right fast. You'll see that container. So let's just cat it out right fast so you guys can see a little bit more how detailed it is. And this will basically give you a little bit better of an understanding of how you can expand upon these systemd service files. So just check it out for yourself. You know what I'm saying? This is auto generated, but this breaks down a little bit more on what you could do with Podman as far as using these systemd, and it's basically using that container that we already have running. All right, so let's go down and kill that. So Podman, and then stop nc-alt pressure. That'll stop that container that we had running, and then also let's go down and remove it as well. Just wanted to show you guys how to use that. Even though it's being deprecated or it's deprecated, they're gonna get rid of it eventually. It's still there, and you can use it. It wants you to use the quitlet, you know what I'm saying? But you can still use that for now. Now, let me show you guys pods. Now, pods let you group containers together. And think of it like a mini Kubernetes pod. So check this out. Let's go down and clear the screen, and let's type Podman, and then pod, and we want to create a pod, and what we want to name it, -- name. We can name it my pod, and then we can do ports -8080, and then 80 is the internal ports, and press enter, and it'll create our pod for us, and it's called my pod. Now let's go down and add containers to my pod. So let's go podman create, and then -- pod. We want to specify our pod that we want to add this to. So my pod, and then -name. We want to do Nginx app. Let's say there's an app there, and then we could just put Nginx at the end of it for the image, and let's press enter. That'll add that to my pod. Now I'm gonna go down and let's go down and create another one. I'm gonna just back this off, but I already know most of what I'm doing. I'm gonna do DB for the name, -E. Let me see. I'm trying to remember how this goes. I had to look it up right fast. Postgres host, authentication method trust, and this is a Postgres server. We're gonna install Postgres, and press enter, and it specify where you want to get it from. So we're gonna get it from docker.io. That's fine, it'll pull that down, and it didn't have to look for Nginx because we already pulled it down earlier. We didn't remove any of our images, and I'll show you guys how to get rid of all the images a little bit later. Anyway, boom, we have created both of our containers, added our containers to my pod. Now let's go down and start my pod. Let me clear to bring it back up to the top. So all you have to do is type podman, and then pod, and let's go start my pod, and this will start the pod itself, and this will start both of the containers. And let me show you guys something once it starts. So let's type podman, and then pod ps. So this is a separate command. So pod ps, press enter. This will show you the pod itself and the number of containers that are running in it. It says 3, and it's been up for 3 minutes, so we're good to go. And then let's go podman ps, just so you guys can see what the containers are running, what containers are actually running. So what do we have? We got post, and we have app, and we have this other container here that I forgot about, but it shouldn't be in my pod. I'm not sure. I'm gonna get rid of it a couple seconds. Maybe it was added to it on accident, but anyway, I'll get rid of it. But that's essentially how you create one pod with multiple containers inside of it. Now let me show you guys how to clean it up. So podman, then pod stop, boom, and I need to put the name there. So my pod, boom, that'll stop it. And then the same as if you're stopping a container and removing a container, remove. So RM, boom, that'll get rid of it. And you're good to go. And let's go podman ps again. I just want to see what's in there. So nothing is in there anymore. Now let's get to the Docker Compose style workflow, because this is one way I set up a lot of my Docker containers. I use Compose files for pretty much everything, because to me, it keeps things organized a whole lot better. I have the folders, name whatever application it is, and then within it, I have the Docker Compose file with everything in the Compose file, how I have it all set up. So let's just set up one similar to what we just did with the pod that we set up. So let's create another folder right in here. So let's just do make dir, and then we'll do web app or something like that's fine. And let's cd to our web app directory, and let's create a Docker compose file. So let's go nano Docker compose, and you don't have to do Docker compose. You can name this whatever you want. It really doesn't matter. It will just look at the code inside of the file. So you can name it podman-compose. I'm just naming docker-compose.yaml, press enter. And then I already have a compose file that I just copied from another server that I have Docker running on, and it should work. So basically it'll set up a web server. So Nginx 8080 as the ports, and then 80 as the internal port, and it's gonna install Postgres SQL password, and I just put secret in there. Boom, good to go. It's similar to what we did for the pods. So let's go down and save this and exit out. And it's the same way as running Docker. So all you have to do is type podman and then -compose and then up -d and press. And this will start that compose file, set everything up for you. So web app, so we got web 1 and db1 under web app. We are good to go. So let's say we're done with it. We don't want it anymore. Let's go down and shut it down. All you have to do is do podman-compose and then down center, and that will kill the whole app for us. So good to go. It's simple and very familiar. Now, let's say your system is all the way cluttered. It's just like in Docker. You can run a lot of these commands to clean up your system. So clean up and prune. So let me show you as that. So podman system and then prune, and then we could do -a and -f and press enter, and that'll clear everything for you. This will clear unused containers, images, networks, and volumes if you created any. And boom, as you can see, it freed up total of 4.137 gigabytes of space that was taken up by all these images and containers that we had on the system. So there you have it, a full intro to Podman on Rocky Linux. We ran rootless containers, built our own image, used Quitlet and systemd, grouped services with pods, and showed compose style setup with podman-compose. If you're running containers in production, home labs, or just want to ditch Docker entirely, Podman is a serious alternative that's lighter, more secure, and built for modern Linux. If this helps you out, go down and like the video, subscribe, and drop a comment. Let me know what you want to containerize next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Yo, what's up, y'all? Listen, if you've been sitting there thinking about making a move, let me tell you, tech is where it's at. I don't care where you coming from, whether you've got a degree, a GED, or just pure hustle. There's room for you in this game. You see, tech is more than just keyboards and code. It's solving problems, creating opportunities, and building the future. You already have what it takes, because tech doesn't care where you start. It cares where you're willing to go. You can teach yourself Linux, learn Python, break into cybersecurity, or even launch your own app. And the resources are out here for free. And yes, you heard me, free. Now, yeah, it's gonna take effort. You'll have to grind, but think about this. The time is gonna pass anyway. So why not invest it in a skill that'll change your life? I mean, tech doesn't just pay the bills, it opens doors to freedom, stability, and generational wealth. So stop doubting yourself, start small, stay consistent, and keep building. Because this isn't just a career, it's a movement. And guess what? You belong here. So let's get it, because the future is yours to build. Keep it techy.